What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. I'm your host, Chris Raybon of the Action Network. And on today's episode, we're going to run through our top 5 players at each skill position, discuss players we're especially high and low on this week, and we'll throw out a player prop for each position. Here to help me break it down, one of the most accurate fantasy rankers in the game, the odds maker, Sean Kerner. Sean, what's going on?
What's up? Definitely had a much better week, both on and off the field. Bounced back with the winning week. I left the house. I went out for a little bit for Monday Night Football. Didn't get crazy, trust me. So looking forward to Thursday night where we might get a little crazier at the Laker game, but definitely feeling a lot better. So how are you doing?
That's great. Yeah, bad week for me, but I'm glad you're feeling better. I had my worst betting week.
Oh, damn.
So got to I mean, it was bound to happen. It was on like a 2
right.
Peter. But got a rebound this week.
Sure.
We each went 2-0 on each other's props last week. So
the book got killed.
Yeah, the book got killed.
Is that how I should think about it? Damn.
Yes. So we'll see how that goes. But let's get right into it for this week with quarterbacks. Who you got in your top 5?
Let's see. So my top 5, I have Lamar Jackson, number 1 this week. And then I have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, number 4, because that knee injury. I don't know what's going on there. And then Justin Herbert, number 5.
Yeah, that's a good point on Hurts. I still have him number 2. I have Jackson 1, Hurts 2, Mahomes 3, Josh Allen 4. Yeah, Herbert 5. But we'll see what's up with Jalen Hurts. Definitely something to monitor. Like the matchup against Washington, but
I thought you said Jackson Mahomes there for a second, ranked 2.
Oh no, well Jackson. Yeah, I mean, just keep him away from Taylor. That's what the Christians are saying.
Yeah, for sure.
Who are you high on this week?
So I mean, it's probably a week late, but I'm high on Gardner Minshew. He is definitely starting to heat up with back-to-back 300+ yard passing games against 2 solid defenses too. In the Jaguars and Browns last week. I said Gardner Minshew taking over for Anthony Richardson's a really good sign for Michael Pittman and Josh Downs, just because the passing volume would be higher. But I didn't think Gardner Minshew would break out quite like this. And he has another tougher matchup against the Saints this week. But they've had a very easy schedule of opposing quarterbacks, so they might be a tad overrated. So I have Gardner Minshew as like a solid QB2 streaming option this week. And just looking at the rest of the season, he has a much easier schedule going forward. So he could get even better. He probably won't turn into a top 10 quarterback, but he's a decent like medium term replacement for people that have like Justin Fields that are looking for like a couple weeks of streaming quality quarterback play. So he opens the week as my QB 14. Granted, there are 10 quarterbacks within a point of him, so we could see quite a bit of shuffling in my rankings by the time we get to Sunday. But at least to open the week, I'm very high on Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, he's my QB 15, so I'm right there with you.
Nice.
That Saints defense does make me a little nervous, but yeah, I mean, he's been putting up numbers. You can't really complain. The Colts have been playing a lot better than expected. I know they dropped that game out of Cleveland, but I think if anyone looked at the Colts after 7 games and they were 3-4 and Minshew was putting up those kind of numbers, they'd be all right with it. I am high on Dak Prescott. I have him as a startable quarterback this week, which hasn't always been the case, but I have him inside the top 10. This week he's QB 17 in ECR, and basically it comes down to him going against the Rams defense, which is not very good against the pass, 20th in DVOA. So I think this is a game, coming off the bye. I'm sure they'll fix some things. I'm sure they'll still want to run the ball, but I do think that this is a softer matchup. And as you mentioned, a lot of quarterbacks on bye, some quarterbacks on the fringe in tougher matchups. So like this one for Prescott against the Rams.
Yeah, you beat me to the outline. I had the same quarterbacks as you, but I'm high on him as well. And, just with Tony Pollard really struggling on the ground this year, he shined as a pass catcher. I could see them just becoming more pass heavy. Same thing, around the goal line. Dak only has 1 multi-touchdown game through the air, and Pollard's been struggling around there. So could set up for, a big second half of the season for Dak. So I'm high on him as well.
Which quarterback low on?
I'm low on Matthew Stafford against the Cowboys. You know, he was my QB8 last week and opens week 8 as my QB20. It's funny how just much of a difference it makes when there's 6 teams on a bye versus 0, and having just a tougher matchup against the Cowboys will, you know, have a quarterback drop that much in my rankings. But, you know, the Cowboys have allowed the 4th fewest points per game against quarterbacks. Again, you know, they're another team that's had a really easy schedule of opposing quarterbacks. But they're still, you know, a solid defense with Micah Parsons and Gilmore there. So, you know, Stafford's been struggling lately. You know, he's been held under 235 yards in 3 straight games. Obviously, that's still more than enough to support not 1, but 2 wide receiver 1s in Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, but they're essentially their entire offense right now. So Stafford himself, you know, just seems as more of a mid-range, maybe low-end QB2 option this week. I think there's a lot of much better options, especially in that streaming discussion. So I'm a bit lower on Stafford this week.
Yeah, Stafford is, you know, been a little bit disappointing considering getting cut back. You know, you thought he could put up 300 yards week in, week out, but he hasn't really done that. I am low on Russell Wilson. He is the QB 14 in ECR. I have him outside the top 15. Going against this Kansas City defense again, number 4 in pass defense DVOA. Kansas City's been playing really well. You know, this might be their best defense that they've had in the Mahomes era. And we just saw Russ go 13 of 22 for 95 yards against this defense with a touchdown, a couple of picks, and only 31 yards rushing. So he didn't really make up for it on the ground. And took 4 sacks. Just really didn't look comfortable. Didn't look like guys were getting open against Kansas City, which is not surprising. And you never know when Denver is going to end up fire sailing. You know, Judy might be on a move, so even Sutton. So you don't know what kind of receiving core he's even going to have this week as we talk on Tuesday. So either way, even if he's got his full complement, just what we've seen against this defense from him, what we've seen from this defense, I don't think you can trust him this week.
Yeah, agree. 3 straight games under 200 yards passing. No way you can trust him this week.
All right, let's go quarterback prop. Let's go with Gardner Minshew. Passing yards, let's go 235.5.
Oh fuck! Sorry. Well, I have it at 235.
Okay.
So that's a really good line. I can't believe you couldn't give me at least a couple yards of buffer here.
I mean, that's exactly where I have it, to be honest with you. So
yeah. Well, yeah, no, I figured.
Sometimes I fudge him a little bit, but this is just I'm just curious as how you're projected Minshew, because it's, you know, on one hand you have him putting up yardage, but on the other hand, the Saints defense has been on point. Like even Trevor Lawrence last week, I think got 204 yards. So.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go under there. I still like him. Obviously, you know, the rushing output last week isn't something we could bank on week in, week out. He had 2 touchdowns with his legs and like 30 yards. But I still think, you know, there should be, you know, some passing touchdown upside. They do have a pretty high team total. I think it's around 22.5. So I think he could get there with like a couple passing touchdowns. But I'm going to lean under here, the 235.5. Like I said, I have it at 235 exactly. So I am very close to your projection here.
And you know what everyone loves, Sean, and that's compliments. Compliments are guaranteed after making the leap to skincare with Caldera Lab. And I'm talking about how you look today and 20 years from now. The results are incredible in little time. Men's skincare and Caldera Lab are the perfect pair for you to look and feel your best. Super easy to add to your morning and nightly routine. Clear skin, less wrinkles, and signs of aging. Enough said. Caldera Lab Skincare. Join the other 100,000 men who trust Caldera Lab to show your best first impression this fall. Now, Caldera Lab knows the skincare world is heavily female-driven and has long been the wild, wild west for men. That's why they're making the solution simple with just 3 steps. 1, the clean slate, which is a face wash to start and end your day. 2, the base layer, which is a daily moisturizer to hydrate your skin. And 3 is the good, which is an eye serum you can put on at night to help your skin look tighter and smoother. And just for our audience, we have an exclusive deal. Use code TAN at calderalab.com and get 20% off right now. That's 20% off with code TAN at calderalab.com. Make unforgettable first impressions with Caldera Lab. Running back, Sean, who you got top 5 for week 8?
All right, so this is a fun one. I have Christian McCaffrey number 1, obviously. Next up, I have Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay.
I can't believe it, but that's where he is right now. And then, more of the standard, Austin Eckler, Alvin Kamara, Tony Pollard to wrap it up.
Interesting. I got McCaffrey, Barkley, Kamara, ETN, and Eckler.
Nice. I'm assuming David Montgomery is out to get Jahmyr Gibbs up to number 2. There's a chance Montgomery returns this week. I hope he does. But it was fun to see if Montgomery is out, how high I have Jahmyr Gibbs in my rankings. How are you projecting that backfield right now, by the way? Do you have Monty returning, at least like getting some touches?
Nah, I don't. Nah. I just have Gibbs and Reynolds and some like a carry for the third guy. So Gibbs is my 6, so he's right there.
Oh, okay.
He's not
okay, so I'm not that crazy. No. Just he probably would have seen a much bigger workload if the Lions had the ball for like any amount of time against the Ravens, but it was such a blowout. He saw 11 carries, but I think it could have been a lot more. Great matchup against Vegas. So yeah, like he could be a top 5 running back this week.
Who are you high on?
I am high on Chuba Hubbard against the Texans this week. And, a few weeks ago, I came up with a new metric. I called it expected rostership percentage. So what I did was I used my like running back upside ratings where I estimate, what the running back's value would be rest of the season if the starting running back were healthy, if the starting running back were out of the lineup, and also factoring the percent chance that the backup could even overtake the starting running back. And, Hubbard led the way by far with like a plus 24% rating. I thought he should have been rostered in 24% of leagues or more. So it was criminal how available he was in most leagues. And sure enough, it looks like he's forced at least a 50-50 committee with Sanders, at least short term. So, he should be a high-end RB3 flex this week against the Texans. And there is, a real chance he just ends up becoming the Panthers lead back outright. Not to mention, Sanders is also dealing with growing shoulder injuries the past few weeks. I don't even know if he's going to be ready after the bye. So I am once again begging you people just to stop puddle jumping from, Keontae Ingram to Latavius Murray, whoever the flavor of the week is, and just add Chuba Hubbard if he's available. He shouldn't be, but he is a great long-term option, short-term option. He should be rostered in pretty much every league, and he has a great matchup this week. Moving on, Emery DeMarcado against the Ravens this week. I like him as like an RB3 flex option. But, not only did DeMarcado remain the lead passing back for the, Cardinals last week, he also took over as the early down back and short yardage back. So he became the true workhorse back for the Cardinals this week. Keontae Ingram played 1 snap. So, he has been completely taken over. I didn't expect that total dominance for DeMarcado in terms of usage, but he is clearly, the lead back going forward until Connor can return. And while this is, a tougher matchup against the Ravens, since he is the pass catching back, it should be a trailing game script. I think he could still get there with like a handful of catches. So I'm trusting him, even though there's no teams on a bye this week, as like an RB3 flex option this week.
Yeah, that was surprising. It's kind of tough. This is the new Shanahan backfield, I feel like, from back in the day where you just never know who's going to touch the ball. Because, everyone was on DeMarcado the week before. He did nothing, and it was Ingram, and now Ingram just
and we also saw Damian Williams come out of nowhere with, 9 touches or whatever. So, yeah, it's unpredictable. But I think as of now, we can at least safely assume that it is DeMarcado, at least for the short term. But yeah, this was going to be unpredictable. I had the Keontae Ingram under his rushing prop, and at one point we were just rooting for him to play a snap, so the prop could be valid. Like he didn't play a single snap the first half. I guess he came in like briefly for 1 play in the second half, But yeah, that was just bizarre to see him completely, phased out like that.
Yeah, it does worry me because I don't know who's gonna. I mean, it's got to be one of those three because they released Tony Jones, so I guess they'll probably elevate Williams again. And
yeah,
that was really weird. I am high on Devin Singletary. Singletary, the Texans are coming off a bye, so people might not remember that Singletary and Dameon Pierce split touches 13 apiece in the last game against the Saints before the bye. And Singletary outsnapped Pierce 54% to 33%, sees a lot more work in the passing game, and had only one fewer carry. So that is something that I did hear, the coaches staff for the Texans kind of talk about how, Pierce was leaving some yardage on the field, and then lo and behold, Singletary outsnaps him in that next game. So I think coming out of the bye, probably should expect a 50-50 split or somewhere around there with these two. But there's a chance Singletary could continue to operate as that number one back because, different scheme than Pierce had last year with Slowik coming in. So Singletary's just played better in that scheme. And they are going against this Carolina defense that's dead last in DVOA against the run. So it's a great matchup. But Singletary is the RB 41 in consensus. I have him as the RB 30. So like him, and Cam Akers as well. He's the RB 58 in consensus. I think he's going to start eating into Alexander Madison's work. Well, we saw that in the Monday night game. The snap counts was 37 for Madison, 27 for Akers. So about 53% for Madison, 39% for Akers. So now you're going against a Green Bay defense that struggles on the ground. They are 26th in DVOA against the run. And we saw Akers closing out that game for Minnesota when they had a lead, late in the game in that fourth quarter. It was Akers, not Madison, on the field. So that's kind of indicative of, we might finally be seeing a changing of the guard. So another backfield where I think it could be, a lot closer to 50-50 than we've seen in the past. So like Akers as a, kind of flex option this week, whereas he's still way out there in ECR.
Yeah, that was bound to happen. Akers eating into Madison's work. Love the Singletary call. He reminds me of like Chuba Hubbard, where he's technically the backup, but any given week he could leapfrog Dameon Pierce, and that seems to be underway. So yeah, I love that call as well.
Who are you low on?
I'm low on Brian Robinson again this week. I was low on him last week because I hinted there was a chance that Chris Rodriguez was going to start eating into his early down work. And that's what happened. Rodriguez managed to outrush Robinson on 7 carries versus Robinson's 8 carries. And like I said last week, Robinson can't afford to lose any early down work just because Antonio Gibson's already dominating the passing down work. The Commanders are just a pass-heavy team in general this year under Eric Bieniemy. So there isn't much, early down work to go around. But now this is, forming into potentially more of a 50-50 committee. I mean, next week, Chris Rodriguez could go back to having 0 touches for all I know. But he was the more efficient back, and we were kind of worried about that anyways heading into the season. So Robinson's going up against the Eagles' elite run defense should be a, trailing pass-heavy game script. I don't know why the ECR has Robinson at RB 27 right now, but I am outside of my top 35. And then my other running back I'm low on will be pretty controversial. It's Deontay Foreman. He looked amazing last week. I can't keep calling him dollar store Derrick Henry right now. He's basically present day Derrick Henry. I mean, he's looked legit. So he had the perfect game script in the blowout against the Raiders last week. Roschon Johnson missed another game due to, he's still in the concussion protocol. Although there is a belief he can return this week. And I'm at the point where even if Roschon Johnson returns, I still think Foreman has earned the right to be the lead back going forward. So I think Roschon will only cut into his early down work a little bit. But, this is, a matchup against the Chargers where I think they're, 10-point underdogs. It's going to be a more pass-heavy game script. That's not really a great game script for Foreman. So we could see Roschon, Darrington Evans, Travis Homer really start to eat into his receiving usage. So I'm a little bit down on Foreman this week, assuming Roschon Johnson returns.
Yeah, I mean, this Bears backfield now, it seems like a letdown spot. They beat the Raiders, starting to back up. Now they got to go play a much tougher matchup. Chargers coming off a couple of losses. So, I am low on Alexander Madison, which just kind of the opposite of being high on Akers. But Madison's the RB27 in ECR. I have him outside the top 25, closer to 30. He again only outsnapped Akers by 10 snaps. He's been averaging fewer yards per carry than Akers on the year, fewer yards per catch than Akers on the year. And in that fourth quarter, Madison got 2 touches, Akers got 5, and Akers' 5 were the last 5, and that was a close game down the stretch. So that could signify changing of the guard. I don't think you want to have to start Madison if you can help it. Now, I know everyone's running back depth is just eviscerated, so you might have to, but I would just temper expectations, and hopefully you could start him as flex or something. You don't have to start him as an RB2. And Aaron Jones as well. Minnesota is number 12 in run defense DVOA, and we just haven't really seen Aaron Jones handle the same kind of workload that we've seen him handle in the past. I don't know exactly where his health is at, but he had a game where he should have had a good game against the Denver Broncos, and AJ Dillon had 17 touches. Jones only had 11. And I just don't know if we can count on Jones to get, enough of this backfield share going forward with Dillon. 56% of the snaps last game to Jones' 36. It might be Dillon more in that Jones role from last year. So I don't think he should be a top 20 back. He's RB 19 in ECR, but another guy I think is more of a flex RB3 flex option than a RB2 this week. All right, where are you going for your prop?
Well, since you're high on Akers and low on Madison, you're gonna love this prop. I had this before I saw who you're high and low on, but we're gonna compare the two.
Okay.
In rushing yards, so Alexander Madison versus Cam Akers in rushing yards. There is a spread here. Okay. I have Alexander Madison minus 6.5 yards. Who are you taking?
Oof, 6.5. I will go. Give me Akers because I have 2 outs. I have outs where Madison could continue to be less efficient, and I have the out of Akers who could just leapfrog him. So I'll take Akers. That's a good line. I think you still expected Madison to have a couple more carries, but it's gotten a lot closer. So
yeah.
Wide receiver, who are your top 5?
Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, Keenan Allen, and Cooper Kupp.
Yep, I got. Actually, no. Diggs is number 1. So I have Diggs.
Oh, nice.
Hill number 2. AJ Brown, Cooper Kupp, and Keenan Allen.
Nice. Do you have AJ Brown right there?
Versus Tyreek. Let's see.
Wait, where do you have AJ Brown?
3rd.
Oh, 3rd. Okay. Yeah, because he's going for what is it, like game number 4 or 5 in a row with like 125. He could break the record.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely separated himself from Devontae Smith. And, he has 5 straight games with at least 127 receiving yards. So,
yeah, one more, I think he breaks the record. So this is similar to like week 18, where we talk about incentives and things for props. I think they're going to try to get him there. So something to consider when it comes to his projections for this week and his player prop.
Yeah, good point. All right, who are you high on?
I'm high on Drake London. Finally, I get to be high on Drake London, but he's really starting to heat up with 6 or more receptions in 3 straight games. He's seeing a much higher target share week to week, and this is just a great matchup against a pass funnel Titans defense. They rank dead last in DVOA against number 1 wide receivers, and there's probably no clear number 1 wide receiver in the league than Drake London. I have him as my wide receiver 22 this week, and ECR still has him outside the top 30. I don't get it based on the matchup and his recent play, but I'm super high on Drake London this week. I've been waiting for a while to say that. And I'm still high on Josh Palmer. I don't get why ECR is still so low on him, but not sure what he has to do to prove it to people, but he's continuing to produce without Mike Williams. Last week he had that massive 5-catch, 133-yard game. He has an easy matchup this week against the Bears. And I think, the Quentin Johnston is already a bust hype is overblown, I think. He was going to have some growing pains. He's not quite ready for the big leagues yet, and he was just kind of forced into the elevated role due to Mike Williams being out. But that's kind of benefited, Palmer, at least in the short term. Herbert's just looking his way. He's the clear number 2 receiver right now. So he's my wide receiver 19. Again, he's in my top 20 this week. And like I said, ECR has him outside the top 30 still at wide receiver 35.
Yeah. Drake London's looking really good, making plays every game. And Palmer had the big game. And this is much easier matchup for Palmer. So like him as well. I'm high on Garrett Wilson. He is my wide receiver 22. He's wide receiver 25 in ECR. I think it's a good matchup for him going against the Giants. They are 23rd in DVOA against number 1 wide receivers. Wilson continues to be on the field almost every snap. He's playing about 97% of the pass snaps. And, coming off the bye, might sleep on him a bit, but he put up a pretty good game last time out, 90 yards. And I think, he's the Jets passing game right now. There's really nobody else. You got Cobb and Lazard, all these former Packers. So, Zach Wilson's been a little bit better as of late. And I think against in this matchup, I think you're going to get some one-on-ones because we know Wink likes to blitz. So, like Garrett Wilson here with the Jets going against the Giants.
Where'd you have him ranked again?
22.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like wide receiver 20, actually. I was surprised. Yeah, like finally Garrett Wilson's thriving with Zach Wilson under center.
Who you low on at wide receiver?
I'm low on Nico Collins. I've been high on Nico Collins for like 3 years now. I think I was 2 years too early, but he's finally having his breakout year. However, just this week, I'm a little bit lower on him. I have him at wide receiver 30. ECR is super high on him. He's wide receiver 19 right now. And this really has nothing to do against Collins specifically. Just wanted to mention just how crowded the Texans wide receiver room could be this week. But, Noah Brown returned the week before the bye. And whether we agree with the decision or not, he could command plenty of snaps going forward. And then Tank Dell could return this week as well, just making this wide receiver room even more crowded. Collins has been topping out around a 75% routes run rate. So he's just been really efficient in his routes. He's commanded a really high target share. And we've also seen Dalton Schultz starting to see like a really good boost in target rate. So just could see like a slight dip in production from Nico. He's still probably a must start in most formats. I just view him as more of a wide receiver 3 option than like almost a mid-range wide receiver 2 like ECR right now. So just a little bit lower on Nico this week. And then I'm low on DeAndre Hopkins. It sounds like we're going to get some sort of combo of Will Levis and Malik Willis under center this week. Will be interesting to see how that goes. Not that Tannehill has been great this year, but this is just a mess. And it's really going to hurt someone like a top target like DeAndre Hopkins anytime you inject this sort of volatility. And he typically needs like a ton of volume to really produce in fantasy. So this could be just a more run-heavy game plan than usual for the Titans. So he's actually outside of my wide receiver flex tier right now with 0 teams on a bye. So he's probably a sit this week in most leagues.
Yeah, Hopkins is way, way out of there. He's outside my top 40 as well.
Yeah.
Just a lot of question marks with that Tennessee passing game without Tannehill in the lineup. I am low on Cortland Sutton this week. He's the wide receiver 27 in ECR, but he's going against Kansas City. They're number 2 in DVOA against number 1 wide receivers. And Sutton's been getting kind of lucky with his fantasy production. He scored in 4 of his past 5 games, but without those touchdowns, he would have been in mid to low single digits in half PPR in each of those games. So I think in this one, he's gonna eventually not catch a touchdown, and when he does, I just don't see the efficiency being able to make up for, especially the way Russell Wilson played a couple weeks ago against this Kansas City defense. So I think Sutton's pretty risky. I have him outside my top 30 this week. I think wide receiver 35. So about 8 spots lower than ECR on Sutton.
Right there with you. He's my wide receiver 37.
Let's go Jameson Williams.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
Good luck setting this one.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go with...
This is brutal, man.
26.
I can't believe you...
26.
Oh, I wrote that. I got to go under.
Yeah.
But that's a good line. It's not even going to be close, right? It's not going to be like 20.
Yeah, he's averaging like a little over 13 a catch. So I just essentially, I didn't... Well, I just took two catches. Can I get 2 catches?
It's going to be 0 or 50. Let's face it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Antoine Green getting more routes is just another player running wind sprint. So it gives him I guess a chance. But I think, like Jahmyr Gibbs running more routes hurts somebody like him. I can't believe you did that to yourself. Just setting a median projection for Jameson Williams right now is pretty much impossible. So
I mean, yeah, it's a fun one though, because I just try to set them the ones that are like tough to project and that people might, because I know people that if you have Jameson Williams, you're probably like, all right, like when am I going to get to use him? And he had a touchdown, he looked good, and then all of a sudden,
you know what I'm going to do next week? I'm gonna do that. Will he finish between? Yeah. Like, will he finish between 13.5 and 31.5 yards? Like, inside or outside of that? That's going to be the fun way to project him.
What a nightmare. On this pod, that was the guy I was low on last week. So that, it's,
and on the season too, right? An all-time fade.
Hey, yes. It's like, unfortunately, if the one thing I want to be wrong about is just stop giving Madison carries. Like at this point, I'm just tired of seeing Madison bang into nobody. It's like, geez, just give us some Cam Akers.
Well, speaking of fades too, Kadarius Toney bottomed out on routes run rate. Now he's not even running routes, so rock bottom for him.
Usually my strength is like being pessimistic about guys. Because I think like my fades for season long were like Toney, Jameson Williams, Brian Robinson, who's like trending way down.
Yeah.
And then Madison was the guy I'm like, hey, he's gonna get carries, but now I'm like, I don't even want him to get carries.
Right.
But more memories are made when you're there for live NFL action. And when you need tickets, our friends at Ticketmaster have got you covered as the official marketplace of the NFL. Ticketmaster gives you more ways to find your perfect seat. Their interactive seat map gives you 360-degree previews of your section and make sure you have the best view of those pivotal plays. And if your plans change, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell or transfer your tickets. Plus, mobile tickets make getting in on game day a breeze. And you can even customize your Ticketmaster app to rep your favorite team's colors. Find tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/NFL. And the fall season is in full swing, which means if you're like us, you're busy watching football. You might be so busy you're looking for more convenient meals ready to eat in just 2 minutes, and that's where Factor comes in. Factor can help you fuel up fast for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time and stay on track with a healthy lifestyle. And this October, get Factor and enjoy eating well without the hassle. Simply choose your meals and enjoy fresh, flavor-packed meals delivered to your door. Ready in just 2 minutes. No prep, no mess. Head to factormeals.com/Action Network Pod50 and use code Action Network Pod50. That's 50 to get 50% off. That's code Action Network Pod50 at factormeals.com/Action Network Pod50 to get 50% off. All right, Sean, who you got for your top 5 tight ends?
Nothing too crazy here. Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle, and I have Evan Ingram just inside my top 5.
I have Kelce, Andrews, Hawkinson, Laporta, and Kittle. Who you high on?
I'm high on Trey McBride. His breakout continued last week. He's seen a 29% target rate over the past 3 weeks. I think it was a couple weeks ago you had mentioned, or somebody mentioned, that they wanted to get McBride the ball more, and they have held true to their promise. He passed the eye test too. I don't know if you saw, but he hurled over a defender after a nice catch and run. He's starting to look really good, really comfortable in this offense now. And now Zach Ertz has been placed on the IR. So, we're going to see his playing time go way up. I think it could be anywhere between like a 70, 80% routes run rate. So I think the leash is fully coming off here. It is a tougher matchup against a Ravens defense who have yet to allow a touchdown to tight end this year. But I think we'll get there with, just catches and yards. Should be a pass-heavy game script. So I have McBride just inside my tight end 1 tier. He's my tight end 12 to open the week.
Ooh, wow. You are higher than McBride than I am. Let's see. What do I got here?
Told you I'm high on him. Where do you have him?
I got a 23rd. Whoa, that's a
23rd.
Split. Yeah. I mean,
did you factor in Ertz?
Nothing.
Well, Ertz was ruled out today.
Yeah, okay. No, Ertz is gone. I mean, I have McBride stepping in the Ertz role, and then Swaim stepping into the McBride role, and I guess it's just because I don't have the Cardinals. I have Dobbs projected for and I guess it's Kyler. What's going on with Kyler? Is he?
I think no chance he returns by week 11. Like week 11 is the target date. I think that's the last I saw. But he's not playing this week.
He's practicing or something, right? He can practice. He's allowed to practice, right? The let's see, he might not be reinstated until week 10 against the Falcons.
But that's the same week Call of Duty comes out, so he might have some distractions. But absolutely going to have Dobbs at least 2 more games, unless they want to check out Clayton Tune. But either way, it doesn't seem like Kyler's coming back.
Yeah, I have Dobbs just right around 200 yards, so maybe that's why.
Yeah, I have him at 200. Wonder what else.
Yeah, touchdowns maybe. I don't know.
We'll figure it out later.
But
I'm very, very high on him. Like I said,
I'm high on Dalton Kincaid. He is the tight end 11 ECR. He's my tight end 9, and Dawson Knox is expected to miss this game. Quentin Morris was banged up, so I'm expecting Kincaid to play almost every snap and finally get a chance to break out. I mean, he kind of had his breakout game in this Bills-Patriots game. He caught 8 passes on 8 targets for 75 yards. Those are all easily career highs. So still looking for his first touchdown catch, but again, with Dawson Knox out, that's really where I think Kincaid can improve, is that touchdown expectancy, because Dawson Knox, even with them splitting reps, Dawson Knox was really getting all the touchdowns from the tight ends for Buffalo. He had, really he just had one. He had one called back in the New England game, I believe it was, because I remember seeing him getting to the end zone. But he's been more active in the red zone. So without him, I do think Kincaid can kind of get the volume with a better touchdown expectancy in this game. So I'm projecting Kincaid for over 4 catches for the first time.
Oh, so, damn. Nice.
Yeah, this is a first for Kincaid. So my tight end 9 to open the week.
I have him at 3.5. Or do you have his target rate going way up after his 28% clip in week 7?
I didn't alter anything. So I have him, his target rate, his baseline target per route rate at 17.5. Which it's 16 for the season. So maybe that's more regression than me.
No, that sounds
fiddling with
definitely. That sounds fair. And then his routes run rate, 65%.
No, I have it 80%.
Oh, 80%. Oh,
yeah, because remember Knox is out.
Yeah.
So now I essentially have. I think Kincaid runs. Let's see what he out of all of his pass snaps, he blocks only about 15%. Let's see, what is he? He's only blocked 7.5% of the time. So I raised that a little because as a starter, you're probably gonna have to pass block a little bit more. But I have him starting at around 80%, and then Quentin Morris with the rest of the snaps, and he's questionable. So who knows? But 80%, and also I've noticed this is a weird year. League average wise, teams are just throwing shorter and shorter. So you're seeing higher completion percentages, more completions, but less yardage. So that could be it too. I'm kind of factoring that in. I tend to be a little bit above market on most quarterback completion props, just because that's what I've kind of seen this year. The
nice.
Average yards per completion is the lowest it's ever been. It's 10.6 this year. So I think the books have been kind of using 11 is like 11 is been kind of the median, I guess you would say, for a completion or an average, but it's like 10.5 now. So that's leading to a few more completions. Like when I go back and compare my numbers. So
Nice.
I've been making it a point to kind of do that. So that could also be contributing to him getting over 4. But either way, like Kincaid, excuse me, is the top.
Oh no, the error was on my end. I figured it out. I was still giving Knox like 20% routes run rate. The last I looked, he was doubtful, and it's Tuesday. What the hell am I gonna do? Yeah. So I gave him like 20%. But now, he's definitely out. So yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, you made me go through a whole like explanation. I was like,
no.
I just broke down the whole process.
I wanted you to go for the listeners, but I'm around like 4.3 now, somewhere in that range. I'm right there with you now. It was on my end.
All right, because I'm like.
You don't need to explain yourself to me anymore.
All right, who are you low on?
I'm low on Cole Kmet this week. Ever since Tyson Bagent took over as quarterback, it has not been ideal for Cole Kmet. He has yet to see a target on 39
wow.
Bagent's dropbacks. Now, obviously, Kmet's not going to see a 0% target rate going forward, but there's no way to spin this as a good thing. So he's just completely off the tight end 1-2 radar for now, I guess, until Justin Fields returns. And I actually have like Connor Hayward ranked ahead of him. So this is the opportunity to talk about Connor Hayward real quick. But he has emerged as the lead pass catching tight end for the Steelers, and is like a decent streaming option. Like he's been commanding targets when he's on the field. So I just to explain how bad things are for Cole Kmet, I have Connor Hayward now ranked ahead of him.
Jeez. Yeah, I Cole Kmet is my tight end.
He's like 38 or something.
No, actually, he's like my tight end 15.
Damn!
I don't. Let's see what's going on here. This one, I'm sure you're probably right.
What is like DJ Moore out, and I don't even know.
Nah. So, like sometimes to open the week, my passing yardages they haven't been fully adjusted. I probably have Bagent projected too high. I have him at 224. Okay. Probably should lower that to like 200-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I have him at 185. I think his prop was like 165 or something ridiculous like that. Yeah. Wasn't that our prop last week, Mac Jones versus Bagent?
Yeah. Luckily, I took Jones. It's like best game of the year.
Well, I mean, Bagent, like it was such a positive game script. He didn't have to throw. So yeah, maybe he could be, over 200 kind of guy. But yeah, at least right now I have him at 185.
Yeah, I'll probably lower him a little bit. It's just like to open the week, I don't make any adjustments to the raw yardage, so it's just like his attempts go up because he's like a 10-point underdog. So that kind of that raised the yards. But I agree. Kmet, he's no longer trustable. That's for sure as a starter. I'm actually low. You have Evan Engram as tight end 5. I'm actually low on him, not majorly low, but I have him as tight end 7. Just a little lower than the market on him. Yeah, Pittsburgh's number 1 in DVOA against opposing tight ends. So, just kind of a matchup thing with Engram. I think there are this week some tight ends that I'd rather play. Waller came back on strong. Goddard is coming on. So Engram's kind of, especially with Zay Jones might be back. Who knows? Just could start seeing his targets cut into a little bit. So tight end 7 for me for Engram. Okay, what is going to be your prop?
Let's go with Trey McBride receiving yards. You already gave me a little bit of intel on your projections, but I'm sticking with what I have. Let's go with 32.5 receiving yards.
Ooh, I have his raw average at 33. That's okay. That's a good line. Let's see.
So your median would be more like high 20s. Yeah.
For tight end like him. Yeah, median would probably. I have him a little over 3 catches, so the median would probably just be him catching 3.
Where do you have his routes run rate?
Right now, 75.
Okay,
so right in that Ertz range. I mean, he could get a little, maybe a couple more, so that might bump him up. But let's see, where do I want to go with this? Baltimore is number 9 in DVOA against tight ends. They're out in the 4th fewest schedule adjusted yards to tight end. I'm gonna have to go under. I do think McBride sees a big bump, but this Baltimore defense has been very good, and this Cardinal offense has been really tough to predict from week to week. So, I'm gonna go under. I have it under, so
Okay.
I'll take that under. All right, that is going to do it for our Week 8 NFL Player Projections episode of the Action Network podcast presented by BetMGM, the king of sportsbooks. For more great fantasy content from Sean and I, be sure to check out our full fantasy preview episode, which is out right now over on the Fantasy Flex podcast channel. And if you're into betting, be sure to check out my weekly betting preview episode every Thursday with Stuckey right here on the Action Network podcast. ActionNetwork.com for all of our NFL fantasy and betting content. FantasyLabs.com for our DFS tools and models. And go join the Action Network Discord server for some extra fun. The link will be in the description. Sean's on X at @_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon. We're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, let's get this shmoney.